What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the remote front office. Today we are going over my top 5 guys potentially to win Rookie of the Year. We did this with the MVP award for this Rookie of the Year. We'll cover all the awards throughout the coming episodes. But if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We are approaching 20 subscribers. We are here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 days a week. The preseason has started. The Bulls played the other day, and we are slowly creeping into actual NBA regular season basketball. I can't wait. I'm super excited to go over more of reactions and different stuff like that and analysis rather than these kind of prediction type videos. But today, like I said earlier, we are going over the top 5 rookies to potentially win Rookie of the Year. We're going to go 5-1 as per always. So the first guy, which I guess would be number 5, I'm going to have Asar Thompson. I think there's a lot of guys that could potentially fit into this slot. However, I think Asar is in a spot that'll have enough spotlight, as well as enough playing time, as well as just enough stats to go around, right? I understand Houston's really young. Houston's probably not going to be very good. This is one of the few awards where your record doesn't necessarily play a huge part. And I think he's going to contribute right away. And I think he'll have a little bit more of a role rather than his brother. His brother was another guy I considered for the spot. But I think with uh, the Fred VanVleet, the Jalen Green, just with his coach as well, Udoka is very much a defensive coach. And I think Amen will immediately come in and have some sort of defensive impact. And I think that'll allow him more playing time than maybe some of these other rookies that I considered for his spot. Asar, I think, is obviously an honorable mention, but we'll get into maybe a couple of honorable mentions at the end here. Number 4 I have is the guy that was actually drafted number 2 this year, and I have as Brandon Miller. The reason Brandon Miller for me is number 4 as opposed to being higher is I think his is more contingent on what LaMelo's future is with this team, as well as what is just kind of the general team around them, right? If you guys don't know, Kai Jones requested a trade today, which is kind of wild for a guy that's still on his rookie deal. But it just seems like the Hornets are in disarray. And so I don't know if Brandon Miller is necessarily in a position to prosper, right? You've got LaMelo, you've got Miles Bridges, you've got Mark Williams, you've got all these young guys who are still trying to prove themselves in this league. And I just think that current Brandon Miller may not have as high of a ceiling or as high of an outcome this year as maybe, in my mind, top potential Brandon Miller, right? I think if we're talking about Brandon Miller 5-10 years from now, then he would be a top 5 guy maybe out of this class, right? But I think as a Rookie of the Year candidate, he's just not necessarily in a great position to succeed as of right now, right? The guy I have at number 3 is going to be Scoot Henderson. With the Dame trade being finalized and now Drew Holiday's out of there, I don't think he'll have to compete that much with Malcolm Brogdon for minutes. So I think the keys are going to be handed to Scoot day one. I do think maybe it's just because it's the Blazers market. Maybe the narrative on him dies down a little bit. And so he doesn't end up finishing top 2 or doesn't even really end up finishing in true contention for the number 1 spot, right? But I think he's going to have a good year. I think he's going to show flashes. He's going to be on ESPN with his highlight plays, whether it's dimes, dunks, game winners, whatever it'll be. And this team's going to be young, fun, and exciting to watch as far as a League Pass team, right? So I just think all of that put together, I still don't think it's enough to get him up to the top 2 spots, but I do think he is in contention for that, right? Number 2 is a guy that was not drafted this year, but is eligible under the quote-unquote Ben Simmons rule, is what I'm going to call it. But Chet Holmgren, right? I love what I saw from Chet in flashes in Summer League. The versatility, the all-around play, the basketball IQ. I think that the Thunder are going to be in a spotlight with having SGA and Josh Giddey. I think he's going to have guys to set him up really well, which he didn't necessarily have in college. I am curious about his center role as far as since it seems like he is the primary center and the true center on this team. As far as what that does impact-wise to him, as well as health-wise, he is coming off an injury that left him out all of last year. So all those things combined, I am curious to see what Chet provides. But I do think as far as OKC's going to be in the spotlight with just all the young guys around him. And I think between the media-driven and just watching him highlight plays, the blocks, the dunks, the bringing the ball up, I think that's enough of a narrative for him to finish top 2 in this race, right? And number 1, Coming as a surprise to absolutely nobody is going to be Victor Wembanyama. Obviously, the reason for this is I think as long as he stays healthy, the all-around play, again, the ESPN highlights, the bringing the ball up, the shooting, the blocking, just the basketball IQ, I think will put him, and I think they have more national televised games than I thought they would. So all that combined, I think does give Victor pretty much the odds-on favorite. If you look on most betting sites, I don't think it's particularly close, just because of the narrative, the expectations, the hype, everything around it. I think puts him in the spot to finish number one for this award. Uh, some honorable mention, guys, as I did say earlier. Asar Thompson with Detroit. I think he's going into a really good situation. He's not going to be asked to handle the ball a lot. He's going to be asked to do the cutting, the defense, get out on the break, catch a lob. He showed some flashes of shooting in their first preseason game. So I think all of that put together does put him in a really good spot as far as potentially finishing in this rookie of the year race. Another guy who's interesting, who may not have the stats, but maybe his team's good enough to get him that narrative, is Jarris Walker. Now that he's in Indiana, I understand Obi Toppin and him are going to be competing pretty heavily for minutes, but I do just think as far as maybe he provides more of a winning impact and that pushes his narrative a little bit. I don't think his merit in this race will be stats based, if that makes sense. Another guy also that'll be interesting, Taylor Hendricks for Utah. I understand the John Collins trade is going to kind of restrict his minutes a little bit, but I do think he's a really, really good fit for that team and just how they play. So depending on his minutes, he could have a really good impact right away. And maybe he's a guy that's in that race for the first couple of months. And then as the season goes along, the hype kind of dies down, and then he's no longer in that top five, right? But that's my man, guys. If you guys have any other guys that you think should be in contention for this, let me know in the comments below, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.